So
I don't know. I feel like I would find that even more disrespectful. Hey, we're hiring you because you're black. Well, I don't want you to look at that. I want you to actually look at it and see that I am your guy that fits this position. And he rightfully or she rightfully deserves to be here.
okay, hold on. Yeah, you're not. I understand your sentiment, but you still are.
No, yes. I'm a black American, but I actually just wanted to I want to know what my actual color is. So, I was at Lowe's and.
Oh, you were serious.
Oh yes, I was very serious. I was at Lowe's and I forgot what I was going to get, but we walked by that pink section and I was just like, you know what? Let's try this. Let's figure this out. Let's test
Just
it.
matching your paint swab with your skin color.
You pick up the little placards, cards, and you just go by each one, and you just try to remember the color. Espresso, mocha, chocolate indulgence. It's like, oh, chocolate indulgence. That's it. That's the mark. That's the mark right there. So I'm sticking to it.
I've never actually thought of doing that. I didn't think you were serious, but okay. Were you with your family, or you
just me by myself?
You're like, hey, I got to go to Lowe's real quick. I'll be right back.
I was doing a house project. I don't know exactly. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was just like, let me step in here real quick. I got some time. It's not something where I need to get it done, fairly quickly or anything like that. So that's what I did, just to take some time because I was, a little bit bored, and I was also curious. So I think everyone should give it a try.
Did someone see you?
I don't know. But if they did, I wouldn't trip off of it. I don't think it would bother me at all.
Could you imagine just, matching one and looking over and there's this, some older white lady just looking at you like, are you okay?
Probably would have just said, hey, I'm just picking out the right one. So they know it's
They're just like, what are you, racist or something? What's wrong with you? You don't do this?
Yeah. So, hey, I'm trying to give you guys a color that you can actually call me. So.
I am going to do that now.
Try that.
I'm going to, obviously, it's one of the many times I'll go to Lowe's by myself, or I don't go to Lowe's anymore. I don't like Lowe's. Lowe's upset me. So.
What happened?
That toilet, right? That's a new toilet. The old one, it was an old, and that one had mold in it, and we didn't. Well, I guess my wife had mentioned it before. She's like, I think it's a toilet or something. That's whatever. And then finally, she was like, no, that toilet needs to go. So, thinking I was going to get my tax return sooner, I was like, you know what, put it on the card, and we're just going to get a toilet. So I had Lowe's install the toilet, or they hired a contractor person to install the toilet. Well, when I was talking to the guy when I was at Lowe's, I'm like, hey, they're going to take the old toilet away, right? Like, I don't have to worry about that. And they're like, yeah, you're good. You're paying the $200+ for them to install it and then take it away. I was like, cool. All right, great.
Yeah.
Guy shows up, does the job. First off, he does it in 20 minutes. Okay. Removes. I brought the new one upstairs, but it was still in the box. Removes the old one, puts the new one in, caulks it, everything, does everything in 20 minutes. It was really fast. He's like, all right, hey sir, it's all good to go. We flushes it. And he's like, make sure it works. He goes, yeah, we don't do Lowe. We don't take away the old toilet. And I was like, well, that's what Lowe's told me that you did, and I paid for that. And he's like, yeah. He goes, you just got to get hold of Lowe's then and figure that out. But he's like, and if I have to come back, I'll come back. But we usually don't do that, especially especially for toilets. So then I called Lowe's, and Lowe's is like, oh yeah, you didn't pay for that option. They're like, you have to pay more for them to take away the old piece of equipment. I was like, when I asked the guy when I was paying for it, and the whole reason I had you guys install it was because you were going to take it away. And he said that's what was included. And she goes like, no, you got to pay extra for that. And I was like, huh. So that's cool. That was pretty upsetting.
Yeah.
So I was like,
do with it.
You know the dumpster by the warehouse?
Yeah.
That's where I put it.
Gotcha.
I one of the week because it was sitting in front of my house. When it was raining, heavily raining, it was in front of my house all that entire time.
Interesting.
And so it was in front of my garage. And I would
have people come over while it was still there.
I mean, no, I don't really have people out, but it was just there. Yeah. And so like, I finally, we, one of the weekends, this is like 2 or 3 weekends ago. Me and Aubrey went to, I was like, hey, let's go on base. Let's go look at something. So when we actually got the projector screen. And so then I was like, hey, I know where we're going to go. We're going to dump this. So, where the warehouse is, I backed my truck up all the way up there. And then I just, kind of shimmied it over there. And then I dumped it in the big dumpster. And I was like, oh, this is a place we can dump some stuff. Because I had a queen mattress that I need to get rid of. Little did I know, my neighborhood, or what I pay for, part of what I pay for with my water company / trash company, is I get 12 free bulk pickups a year.
Interesting. I feel like my neighborhood only gives us one. I'm gonna look that up now.
I didn't know that, and our neighbor found out. So I was like, oh, I don't have to take this mattress. So we put the mattress and the other things out there. So that's why my garage is semi-clean now, because I cleared out my garage because I did a bulk pickup. I wish I would have known that, because then I wouldn't have to drive all the way on base and to drop off the toilet, which I don't know is legal. I don't care. I mean, it's a dumpster.
It's one in the dumpster, because I did the same thing. During the December month, we had a bunch of packages come in, mainly for my son, because, as I stated, my mother-in-law loves her grandchild dearly very much, and, my wife obviously loves her own child very much, so we were buying a lot of presents for her.
Amazon was popping
hot. So it was like our credit cards and stuff like that. But anyway, so I have all these boxes and things like that in my garage, and I wasn't a big fan of it. They were just standing there, just adding up to the pile, and I'm just like, how do I get rid of these? How do I get rid of this? So, because even with me waiting for each week as the pickup goes by, and they did like our little one annual garbage pickup, I was just like, there's still too many boxes. So just what I decided, I said, all right, whatever, this is what I'm gonna do. So, I broke them all down, folded as much as I can, put them all in the back of my car, and literally, I took them to the dumpster at the Jimmy Brought gym.
There you go.
So, no complaints.
There you go. That's one. See, I mean, the base has a lot of places to dump.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have all the dumpsters, and so I was going to do it at the dumpster right behind, like right in front of the building.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it was the weekend that all the reservists were there, and I was like,
no one noticed. Yeah, no one parks back there. Probably.
No, I'm talking the one in the front, like right by between our south and.
Oh, still don't think anybody would notice.
No, I don't think anybody would notice either. But like at the same time, your vehicle, and you think in someone's been in your vehicle before, you think like everyone knows your vehicle now.
That's very true, because I think like that as well.
So like and me, I feel a little bit more self-conscious, because I'm like, I drive a big truck. Everyone knows. They see this big, it's charcoal gray, but it looks black truck come around. They're like, oh, isn't that Wilcox? And then
exactly, yeah.
And then you see the tinted windows and give it away, like, because I'm like, they're illegal illegal in there in Texas. And then also, the Arizona license plate. So I'm like people are gonna notice me.
Yeah, that's what gets me. People, especially my Utah plates. Oh yeah, there's only one black man with the black tee going with Utah plates, and that's Pippin.
Well, it's funny is every time we get in your car, I'm always like, I know it's a black car. I don't remember. I always think it's a Toyota that I'm looking for. And then you start walking up to the Volkswagen. I'm like, oh, crap. I'm thinking Toyota. It was not. I think maybe it's a T that gave this, whatever. But I always think it's Toyota.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So I'll be honest with you. I know what you drive, but like if I had to go go find Pippin's car in the parking lot, I'd be like, maybe. The Utah plates would probably be the one that I'd be looking for, and that would be a giveaway. But I'll be honest with you, right off the bat, I'd be like, I don't know where he parked at all. So now I know where you like to park. You like to park in the back. You like to walk. Me, my friend, I don't. I want to park as close as possible.
Just trying to give myself a little extra workout after PT. So
look, if I went to PT, sure, maybe. I don't go anymore. I got a lot of appointments and SFL tab.
Nothing wrong with that.
Also, I don't like PT. I don't like unit PT.
Gotcha.
Like, I don't care for unit PT. I think PT is an individual event. I like, especially when we take the ACFT, and most of these soldiers are training for the ACFT. So I'm like, individual event, I should be able to do if they care that much, I think they should orchestrate a workout, have a generalized workout program. And then if you want to get better score / more fit or whatever the case might be, then you can go see like someone who's a workout style person, personal trainer style thing. Yeah, like, but it's by, whether it's at base, whether it's by the unit or MWR or whatever, and then you go see them and they can do a tailored workout program for you. And then you can give that to your unit and say like, this is my workout program that I'm doing. And then boom. So like I can understand, say, hey, formations, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You have to get formation, but obviously as long as the unit has your workout program and you're doing your workout program on a base gym, whatever, cool. Or they pick the gym, cool. So that's my opinion. But
so then, is that like for active duty? Is that normal? You guys do normally do your own individual PT or every? Okay.
They really love organized PT.
Got you. Because I know, like, for me as an ATR, we don't really get that unless I'm assuming probably some places if they want to put that up, the other AGR group wants to put something together. But normally, like everywhere I've been, it's always on that individual to make sure you pick pass your PT test, pass your height and weight. So if you're not doing that, then it's on you, and they look at it as you're not doing PT, blah blah blah. So when I got here, I actually enjoyed coming together, working out with people. Because I was just constantly for years just working out by myself. But it's nice to be around others and have that motivation to keep going.
I see. Again, maybe it's just because I've been doing the organized PT for so long, or I'm like want to do organized PT, and I like to be able to show up. I'm like 6:35. Like I won't be there exactly at 6:30, but like if it's like you need to be here at 6:30, nah, man, I'm good. I'm generally late everywhere I go, to be honest with you. There are a lot of things that I will be on time for because I absolutely have to be. But more time management is like one of my worst things. Yeah. If you're listening to this, and you want to hire me for a job, I'm great at time management. I get everywhere on time. And that is, yeah, I'm looking for a job. But no. So real quick, hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mediocre Dads. We're being mediocre's choice, and you have to refuse to be mediocre every single day. I'm your host Quan. I go by Q. I'm joined by my friend Andre here. It's one of those. I enjoy doing in-person episodes. So in-person episodes are really fun because you don't have the stress or the worry of the internet connectivity nonsense and BS that happens when you don't have an in-person guest. But when you have an in-person guest, it is, there's not the delay. So like if a joke was made, it's like, it's right there. It's instant, right? Versus like that brief second connectivity, they got the joke. You're like, oh, ha, 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 I'm going back and forth responding. And so I like in-person guests. I think y'all enjoy in-person guests. And I'm used to doing it every Thursday with MB. But MB's on vacation right now. So, we're keeping it rolling. But that being said, I have a few things I want to talk to you about. And I was keeping it mysterious on purpose. Okay.
Okay, I got you.
Because, some people will over prepare. And what I mean by that is, some people will try to,
have an answer ready.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then just like, and I think the audience wants and would appreciate a genuine answer, like an answer where you'd be like, oh, okay, I'm thinking about this or whatever the case might be, where some people have to practice their answers,
right? Certain
answers, like, cause there's going to be the general and easy questions that you ask, but like, again, some people practice. So that's why I kept it mysterious, but, I'll start easy and then I'll work hard, and I say get towards the end, it'll get hard. But what I mean by that is I think, questions that you won't see coming, you'll see. Maybe you will, maybe I don't know. I go with the flow. It's a conversation though, right? So, I want to start off first and foremost. So you're a twin. Okay. So like, and everybody in most of my audience and anybody who actually knows me personally, knows that I'm a twin. So like to meet another twin, right? Look, y'all, I know we're like, it's a dime a dozen. Okay. You don't meet them often, but you're a fraternal twin, right?
I'm a fraternal twin.
Did your brother join the army too?
No, he did not. He's a dispatcher for Sacramento PD and the light rail system that they have out there.
That's an intense job.
So, yes, it very is. It's he's seen a lot of things, and it's unfortunate. Even like he's seen some friends down on their luck and things like that. And he tells me some of the stories and the things that happened, and it's kind of sad. And I'm just like, are you sure you want to keep doing that for the rest of your lives? Tried helping him multiple times of like, hey, I think you could do this and things like that, but he does enjoy his job. He does like helping people. I think eventually he might soon switch over to something.
Is it because of just, taking those calls and just how, you never know what that person's calling about? Obviously it's some form of an emergency, but is it just those, or is it just more of like seeing, I don't know. I guess I don't know fully what he does into that, but like, is it just kind of like, hey, I've seen the end or the beginning of what happened here or whatever the case might be.
I would say it's more of like seeing like people committing suicide because he's seen people get hit by trains, cars.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So you could tell he can tell when like this person wanted to do that. So that definitely took a toll on him, things like that. Luckily, like he has a good support system that helps him out. And for me, it sucks that I'm not there back in California, there for him, stuff like that. But me and him, we talk pretty much almost every day, if not every other day. Just making sure, checking up on each other, making sure everything's good, things like that. So yeah. But other than that, no, I think he does handle it very well.
That's a pretty cool job in the sense of like, it's one of those jobs I think that people will sit there and like, I know it's a job, but it's like, how do you get that job? You know what I mean? Like, because you don't just like, obviously you can go on the city website whenever Imagine apply, but like most people, especially when I was growing up, it was like most people like would never imagine going on the city website and saying like, hey, what jobs is the city? They're like, oh, I think Jack in the Box is hiring.
Love that place. But speaking,
do you ever eat their tacos?
Oh, that's their number one thing that people eat is
their Jack in the Box tacos.
Yes,
it was a thing when I was in high school. People when they were drinking and they're like, hey, I'm gonna go get Jack in the Box tacos. Because they're very greasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Just to stick with that, I remember back in high school, we had a challenge back in high school. Me and my friends would each go and order. We only did this once, but I accomplished it. We went and ordered 100 tacos each
in one.
So yep, in one sitting, and we were trying to see who can eat the most. And I ate all my tacos.
You ate all 100?
Yes, I was sick. I was very sick. I was sick.
That's not good for you. Those are too greasy.
Yes, but when you're young, vibrant, your body processes it. It pushes through. So, plus, actively, running track, football, and all that fun jazz. Yeah, we got through it.
Dang.
I got through it. I'm here today.
Wouldn't do that today, though.
No, never. Absolutely not. No. I can't even tell you the last time I even had a Jack in the Box.
I don't either. I think it was maybe 10 plus years ago. At least I had the last time I had Jack in the Box. Wow.
So you were like 20.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess that was 20. Yeah. Well, okay. You've been in the Army just as long as I have been, almost. Well, you think you've been longer?
I've been in
since 12?
2012. So I've been in, for 13 years officially as of this month.
Oh, congratulations, Max. That's disgusting, but, congratulations.
Man, who are you telling? I'm not going to say I haven't done that since my life. Do love serving, so I don't want the audience thinking like, oh, this guy's a piece of shit. He doesn't care about his country anymore.
Well, you do, but you get. For those who have been in it, they know that it's one of those things. It's like you're tired.
Yeah, I'm like Michael Clark Duncan from Green Mile. I'm tired.
Yeah, look, 100%.
I'm tired, boss.
Yeah, you're just tired. So I get that, but
yes, so going back to my brother, he got the job because beforehand. I'm sure you heard of it. He did something what's called Job Corps. So it's basically like a school, whatever. They have different depending on what it is you're trying to get into, they may have something for it. So I think he started off with security, and then he worked from that, and then after that, he got that job, and then he also had a job working with the state, and he was out. He was let go, but he still had that other job. So,
Okay.
Dispatcher.
So. Okay. Man, I mean, your brother sounds like he has an intense job, but at the same time, it sounds like he is, he's, as long as he has a support system and it's something he enjoys for the most part, as far as just helping people, sounds like he's good job there then. So what led you then to join the Army and then him staying? Because, again, twins, regardless if you're identical or fraternal, most people think we always want to do the same thing. So
that's true. That's true. For him, though, he didn't want to join the Army. He wanted to join the Air Force.
We all did, but,
did. So, yeah.
I think all of us tried even.
The recruiters just refused to open their door for me. So,
yes.
It was just, I think someone peeked and just looked at me just like, he's not qualified. Oh, that was it. Walked away from the window. So, no, but anyway, I joined the Army because it was one of my life goals. And what I mean by that is, in a family tradition, what I mean by that is, I set 3 goals for myself in life. One was, try to make it to the NFL if I could, if not, at least play, college football. So I did that. I didn't go to like a D1 school, but, I still played junior college. That's still something. To 2 bowl games, doing that. So that was fun. Lost both of them, but still, how many people say that they did that?
I did not know that you did that, but that's dope.
I did. And the second goal was joining the Army because both of my parents were actually in the Army. My dad was a cook, even though he can't cook. And my mom was a medic.
Okay, let's give the Army cooks some credit and understand that the Army forces them to follow the recipe.
All right, I'm so glad you said that because I'm sure there are some people who can actually cook but the Army tells you, hey, we want you to cook this specific way. But with my dad, I think it just stuck. So, and but I will say this, man, my dad knows how to grill.
I mean, look, I think this might be a hot take, but I think every man should know how to grill.
I agree with that. But for me, I think I did it at a little bit older. I mean, I didn't start until I was like maybe 28.
Grilling?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I learned in one of my good friends, he's in Hood right now, but I learned how to grill when I was at Hood by him. And I don't think he knows this, but like the first time I met him, he was grilling and I went out and my wife's like, go talk to him, you guys gotta be friends. And it's kind of like what we did to our wives today, where we're like, hey, you're going to meet someone new and they have kids and we have a kid and, we'll figure out what happens after that. We know each other, but hey, good luck. It's like, we're going to go leave and we'll be back. Right. So like, that's what she did to me. So then I'm like, I don't really want to meet these people, but anyway, I met him and he was grilling and then I just kind of watched and was asking him questions like, oh, why do you do that? And whatever. And then from that, that's where I learned how to grill. And then every time I grill, if I'm grilling something I've never done before, I'll call him like, hey man, how do I do this? He'd be like, and he'll ask me a question. Then I'm like, I don't know, man. I just went to the store. I went for skirt steak. I found the skirt steak and I have it now. What do I do?
That's actually good that you have that. I actually kind of wish I had someone like that. But for me, normally what I do is I just watch YouTube videos.
YouTube is a good teacher.
Or when I did have like Instagram and all that, I would come across, some individuals. I think one of them died or something like that. So I started following him and watching like that. And that's how I got really big into ribeyes.
Yeah. Because I do so now. Like I'm pretty decent at it, but like I'll ask him like more in depth questions. I'm like, hey man, like how long do you think I should grill this if I'm trying to get this desired end state? Right. Like should I smoke it? And if I smoke it, should I do this? And so like getting into that, those things. He's done it all. He's an awesome dude. His name's Raul. He's a pilot. I think I was telling you about. These side flies C-12s in for the Army.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, you didn't tell me his name, but
that was that guy. The guy I drove all the way.
Gotcha.
We won't tell that story on here, but yeah, that guy. Yeah, he's freaking awesome. He's a jack of all trades. He would make a very inappropriate joke right now, but because he's Hispanic, you can guess where I'm going there. But he would make the joke, not me, guys. He would. So that being said, so yeah, no, that's really where I learned how to grill and how I did it. Because I kind of had an idea of road grilling, but I would dry out my chicken.
Mm.
I thought,
Do that.
you
It's a
know,
black man.
right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a scary thing to dry.
Yeah.
Like, serving dry chicken.
Because then you're going to get people looking at you like, who raised you?
Yeah, like, well, I mean, at this point, it's funny. I was talking to First Sergeant about this, about how I was when I was in it was amongst other conversations, but I was like, telling him, I was like, I've been told the entire time since I was growing up in high school and even in the Army, I was like, I'm different because of, how I articulate myself, how I carry myself, and, my vernacular is a lot. It's more superior than most. And so it's very off-putting to some people when I use certain words and they're like, I don't even know what that means. So therefore I don't even know what you're asking me right now. Especially when you're an enlisted person talks to an officer and they see you and they think of their mind goes to, this is what I can expect to get from this person. But then it's not that. And it's like, this person's not smarter than me. And so not trying to toot my own horn, but just in the sense that I was telling them, I was like, a lot of people have made fun of me or it's one of the reasons I stopped being a 42 is because, there's a lot of black people who become 42 alphas. Then what ends up happening is if you didn't have a certain upbringing, if you didn't come from a certain place, you didn't grow up a certain way that they perceive or they believe that all black people should grow up. Essentially, if you didn't grow up in Section 8 housing and, you didn't have you're not black enough, and it's like,
blows my mind because I just don't understand why do we do that?
Why do we do that to ourselves? So like, as a culture, like I think so, like truthfully, it bothers me because I have, you have a son, I have two daughters. So one of the things I told my wife when Nevaeh was first born was, I was like, hey, one thing I need you to understand is like, she's black first. Like, I was like, it's not because I want like black supremacy or anything. I was like, I need you to understand when people see her, they see that she's black. That's what they see first. They now understand that she's mixed, but what they're going to identify her as, they're going to call her black first. Yeah. And I said, so so it's very important to me that I said, when we raise her, we may have that understanding, but she doesn't need to know that or have that understanding until she's older.
Right.
I don't need her to have that identity of I'm black and I'm black and I'm proud type thing. Almost like, like being with the, what are they called? The Black Panthers. Like, I'm like, hey, I don't, maybe, not even maybe. That's just a no for me, right? But it bothered me so much because everyone especially in the black culture, we like to define what being black is by how we grew up and how poor we were versus the level of success in which we achieved.
What struggle did you go through?
Yeah. You're not really black if you didn't struggle like I struggled.
Like, have you ever had milk in the cabinet? Milk in the cabinet? Yeah, you got to add water. Yeah, I mean, I admit that's poverty at its finest.
What that is that's government. That's government paying for your groceries. That's government groceries right there.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, if you're on government assistance, I'm not hating on you by any means, but like that's obviously if you need it and that's what and that's where you're at. I'm sorry, it's unfortunate. However, there are ways in which you can get out of it, right?
100%, especially
it might just take some time. So
100%, especially in this day and age now and everything like that. And I think the part of the issue is I think there are a lot of people who've been in it so long, they don't know any other way.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, the people who grew up with it and they've seen that, they're just like, hey, this is all I know, so this is what I'm going to do. And reason why I don't want to use it, I'm not using an excuse because there's so many resources that we have now for, not just, black people, just anyone, just to get out of that situation. The other thing that I've noticed is just like there are some people who flat out refuse to get out of it.
Yeah.
They won't put in the work that's needed.
Well, it's the victimhood mentality, right? It's the state of being a victim continuously. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, at one point you may have been a victim. Right. You don't always have to be a victim.
Right.
And I think as a culture, one thing that we have passed down from generation to generation is the fact that it's better for you to be a victim than to be a victor, right? And I would much rather see you become a victor they constantly believe that you're a victim. And I think it boils down to, I mean, there's a lot of other things that go into it, right? Like, I think, the numbers, the statistics speaking to, fathers in the home. And so, especially when you're raising sons or boys, and to be men, or daughters, and to be, to be women. But I think that's a huge part of it, the disparity there with that, of course. But again, we just push what we push and what we promote as a culture is it's never positive. It doesn't seem like a positive thing, right? Like Black excellence, right? That used to mean something. And like, and I think the idea and the premise behind it was like to truthfully be excellent and try to strive to be successful and in your own way. But like people didn't, it's like, no one's like, no, I'm comfortable living off the government and comfortable being the victim where people feel bad for me. So, yeah, man, it's the Army. What I noticed in the Army though, was there was a lot of people who were still living that way, or that mindset was like, they were still where they were at.
Yep.
And it was like, no, like you're in the Army now. Like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the Army makes us rich by any means, but like we are taken care of. There are people who are doing a lot worse than we are, and we complain about like going to sick call, and there are people who don't have the ability to go get medical.
100% agree with that. I think like I said, the other issue is probably going with that is the way that they're living like that while they're still in the Army is, again, it's just like they learned that behavior, so now it's like now they gotta have to try to get out of that, try to lose that learned behavior and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's like for some individuals it's probably hard and stuff like that for them to see. But I think definitely like hopefully with leadership while we're in the Army, and hopefully they see that and try to mentor them to help them grow their finances, learn how to do certain things so they can like escape that mindset, and then they can broaden themselves and pass that along to whoever.
The next generation, right? I think because we're always doing things for the next generation, right? And I think
supposed to, at least.
You're supposed to, but like, well, I'll put it this way, right? There's always consequences to our actions, good or bad, right? And so carrying that over is you're always everything that we end up doing in this life is always going to be for the next generation, whether it's good or bad. Whether we do something good and then it benefits the next generation, or we do something bad and it hinders the next generation. But the next generation is always going to feel the impact of what we do now as a whole, as a society, as a culture. And one of those things, the biggest things for me is the music and what we listen to and what we promote. I was in Poland, man. And in Poland and in Europe, they have a little more laissez-faire lifestyle, so like strip clubs and the vicarious women and all that. That's more accepting. Now it's not still out front of you and in front of people per se, but like in certain areas, it's definitely like, hey, if you go down there, you know what you're getting, you know what you're going to get. Right. They know why you're there, and you know why they're there, and no one's whatever. But I was in Poland, and I remember this was around the whole George Floyd thing was just really starting to pop off. And I remember this Polish woman asking me, first she was trying to get me to go into one of those clubs. Now, where I was at in Poland was not down the alleyway or whatever that was there for that, but it was just in the big area, and that's where we were. And so she was asking me, she started asking me, like, you want to go? I'm like, no, I'm good. Trying to point to Marine, like, hey, like, I'm good, whatever. And then it turned into, she was like, hey, can I ask you a question? Right. And immediately the Polish guy came over and they were like, hey, so like, the cops really killed Black people in America like that? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you guys really believe that Black people are just dropping by the dozens in America by police officers? Like, we have Black police officers. Do you know that? Like we're not just out there. And it was just one of those moments where it was a real moment. I was like, oh gosh, like they don't see anything. What they see is they're like, hey, I don't have any other reason not to believe that's true.
Right.
Right. For example, is rap music. So like when they see the Black women and all that, or they see Black men, what do they think? It's like you're a gangster and you got
dress a certain way, you act a certain way.
Yeah.
All these other things, and it's like, then when they see a Black person who isn't dressed that way or acting that way, then they're, some people act dumbfounded, and it's just like, no, we're not all like that.
We're not all like, yeah, well, but that's the thing. It's kind of like, and that's why stereotypes I think can be funny, is because like, it's like stereotypes, they have an origin, and the origin tends to be somewhat, if not all, truthful, right? Have some truth in it. And so when I tell people, I'm like, I mean, stereotypes, whether you, and I know people don't like stereotypes now because they're like, stereotypes, racism, I'm like, not going there. But what I should say is with stereotypes do help us to better understand who we're talking to, especially when we first meet those people, right? It's like, you are a Black American from Chicago. Okay. All right. Stereotype in my brain is like, they shoot people out there all the time.
Southside.
Yeah, you know, just get Iraq. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've been to war. You just didn't know you were in it. You know what I'm saying?
King Fong. Start naming.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know, it's what's kind of crazy is you can make a inference to about it, or you can make a joke about it, and they'll be like, oh yeah, no, like, you know, that's this area, blase. But then you're like, okay, like, obviously that's not them. But then I applied a stereotype here, and they understood, and they know where it happens real. So that's where I try to explain to people. It's like, I get it, the stereotypes, and that's what the Polish, then at the time when I'm talking to these Polish people, that's what they were doing. And so anyway, you know, she's asking me questions and talking to me and like whatever, but I could tell again, there was some, it was still a little intimidating for her in the sense of like, because it was like, oh, like you guys want like, you know, bigger women doing all these inappropriate things. You guys all rap, and you know, you use vulgar and obscene language. You know what I mean? Like that was just the idea behind, and that's what we as a culture has built for ourselves. And none of the, not a lot of the good things of the Black culture within America is not broadcasted worldwide. What is broadcasted worldwide is more of the negative things, right? I saw this video on Instagram the other day, and it was talking about different artists, different prominent Black people, and how they promote one thing, but they live a different lifestyle, right? This lady she was talking about, she goes, you know, y'all remember when Lizzo came out, and Lizzo was talking about how, you know, it was, you know, love yourself, and, you know, weight doesn't matter, blase. Now Lizzo's getting skinny, and all of a sudden,
yep.
But she's still telling you, oh, love yourself, right? And you're like, you're 200 and something plus pounds as a 5'3" woman. And it's like, you can't live that lifestyle. That's not healthy for anybody. But like, you're over here, you fell for it, and it's like, hey, I'm going to live my life. You should love me for who I am. Sure, I can love you for who you are, but also I can tell you you're going to die of diabetes if you continue down the lifestyle. And then she was talking about how Cardi B, and she was like, Cardi B came out and told, so then she's like, yeah, she goes, I would never let my daughters listen to the music that I make. But we got parents letting their kids listen to Cardi B, and they're like, I don't cook, I don't clean, and they got WAP, and they got all that, right? And kids singing it, and all these things, but that's the culture that we promote and it's like, that's what people see, and then we get mad when people say like, I'm only asking you or talking to you about what I see as you guys promote, and then you're getting mad at me because that's not what you want to be noticed. That's not what you want to be seen as. If that's not what you want to be seen as, then do something else.
Do something else.
You know who Ben Carson is?
Yes.
So the example I always give, and, you know, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. What I tell people all the time, though, is like, Ben Carson grew up in a single family home, and he had a brother. Both him and his brother are two of the top surgeons in the United States.
Yes, he was
brain surgeon.
Yes. Remind me of what he did. He was like the first surgeon to separate
conjoined twins. But it was conjoined babies.
Yes.
He had separated conjoined babies. Unfortunately, did die shortly afterwards. But he was the first successful doctor for them to separate conjoined babies, and they lived, and they ended up dying, but I think it was like months later. Yeah. I don't think it was from the surgery. It was from other complications and whatnot. So, but yeah, like, so Ben Carson, he ran in 2016, and under Donald Trump's first presidency, he was HUD, Housing and Urban Development. He was in charge of that. But I was listening to Ben Carson once, and him kind of telling about his story and his life and his upbringing. Him and his brother were raised by a single mom, and they didn't have a lot. And his mom worked multiple jobs to keep them, to make sure they were to stay afloat. They were to do what they needed to do. But one thing that his mom did for both of him and her brother was enforce standards. And the standards she enforced was, you were going to read I don't forgot how much he had to read, but essentially what it turned into was almost like 5 pages a day turned into him and his brother would just read books and always instead put their nose in a book, right? And reading and gaining knowledge, leading leads to knowledge leads to other things and interests in other things and whatnot. And him and his brother both ended up becoming doctors as surgeons, and like I said, top surgeon in the world. And then he ran for president and then didn't win obviously, but then became a HUD. But like, that's what I try to tell people. I'm like, Ben Carson is a prime example of what Black success really looks like. He came from all of that we mentioned before, and he made something for himself. And he's a success. He's successful, right? He doesn't want for nothing, right? I don't know his financial situation, but like, I'm just saying, like, well, I understand it from understanding he doesn't want for anything, right? And he has a family. He's married and he has kids, and like, he's taken care of him and his family. And I'm like, that is a prime example of what, if you start from there, it's not how you start, but how you finish.
It's how you finish. Yep. I'm so glad you said that. That's definitely something I grew up with. It's definitely not how you started, it's how you finish. And then going back to the reading books things, that was actually something my dad implemented in, my life as well. He had us, every day, just read for an hour. So, and that, so I took joy in that. And growing up while I was doing that, so I was always that kid growing up in the classroom, like, who, when the teacher would be like, oh, who wants to read? And I just thought I was like hot shit. Cause I'm putting my hand up and I'm just like, yeah, I want to read. I want to show off that I know these, big words and stuff like that. But for some reason, my teachers just never picked me.
No.
So I was just like, all right, screw you guys. So,
well, it's God's way of humbling.
Yeah, you know what? Fair enough.
He finds some of the most interesting ways to humble us.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely something I will implement with my son as well. And hopefully he can do that. Carry on to his children as well. So,
do you get afraid of the future in the sense of him being Black? That people are going to think of him one way? And I understand, like, hey, I forget what people think of him, right? People think people are going to think what they want to think, but like, is there a fear of like, hey, or a concern? I won't necessarily say fear, but concern that that people are going to put him in a box.
So
not like a physical box.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
but basically, like, I think there is a concern, and I think what it is, I feel like this is how I think. So I feel like basically I can do my best to teach him right from wrong, how to carry himself and everything like that. I can tell him like how society will really view him, and I can definitely, I'll tell him like, hey, look, the decisions that you make and stuff like that, people are going to think of you a specific way. So, you got to learn how to carry yourself and, make smart decisions, because I truly believe like you can have both parents in the house, and they can definitely teach their child to do the right thing, how to walk the right path, blase. But when a child gets to a specific age, like especially when they're like middle school, high school, there's gonna be times or when society is going to like teach them things, and they're gonna want to fit in and try to be cool, whatever the case may be, because that's just kind of like how it is. I just hope that he makes the right decisions in the future and things like that, and not worried about what people think of him.
So, and I think one of the things that it boils down to is the foundation that we build, and we were talking about this downstairs, having that solid foundation that you build upon of morals and ethics and values, and for those who are believers, who I think everyone should believe, but ultimately who are believers, like, it's a foundation. It's the building that foundation on God, building it on that rock, right? And building it upon faith, and then from faith, trusting and believing and understanding that God will provide, right? And from there, it's, following God's will. Now, kids, I don't want to put too much pressure on kids in the sense of like, hey, it was like, Dad, I'm just praying every day, trying to figure out what God's will for my life is. And it's like, hey, he has a plan for you. He directs our steps, right? But for now, I think what his plan for you, what his will for you is to be a kid, enjoy being a kid.
Yeah.
And then there's going to come a point where you will have to, and the verse that I like is like, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, and then when I became a man, I spoke as a man. And so I think that is one of those things for kids is just have a solid foundation, allow them to be kids, and then they will reach an age, and I think as men, we know what that age is. Internally, we know what that age is. It's probably, I would say it's around 12 to 15, but it's different for everybody. It's because I think it's almost like your dad could tell there's something about you changed.
Yeah.
It's like one day you were like, hey, you're my son. I love you, your favorite. Like, he still loves you. But then the next day it was like, hey, just know I expect something different from you now. And he saw something that you didn't see change, but he saw the change, and it was like, and you're like, something's different now. Well, I don't know why it feels like he's treating me different, but it was like, he noticed the change. He's like, hey, this is what I expect from you now. Because it was the first glimpse of, hey, the world it does not look favorably upon weak people, whether men or women, right? But especially when it does not look favorably on weak men. And if you are weak physically, mentally, and spiritually, this world will crush you. People will fail you. They will crush you. There are wicked people everywhere, and they will want to see your demise. And so you have to be prepared, but you also still have to still have to understand coming to this world with a loving heart.
Yeah.
Because one, that's how Jesus lived his life. But two, that's how we're, as believers, that's how we're called to live our lives. So live our lives like Jesus did. And, people coming from different backgrounds or whatever, it's hard. But again, for young men especially, it's difficult, especially when they make that transition from being dependent on someone to being dependent on. I think it was very intimidating and scary for me when at that moment that transition happened. And when it officially happened, and it was something small for me, was when my parents said, hey, you need to get your own phone line. You're married now, get on your own phone bill. And I'm like, crap, how do I do that? I understood just going there and figure it out. Like, hey, like this is, whatever. But like, I didn't understand. I've never done it before, so I didn't know how to do that. So
Right.
It was just intimidating. But again, like I said, like, I think, one of my fears is, it kind of going back to the original topic, is that we promote so much negativity within our own culture that my kids are going to fall prey to those people who want them. Misery loves company. Who want them to be victims as well. And I never want my daughters to think or believe I didn't get this because I'm black. Now, in some instances in life, that actually may be the truth, right? However, you will never actually know unless those individuals come out and say, well, you didn't get this actually because of your skin color, right?
Right.
And if we get to that point in life, well, the world has fallen drastically, right? Like, we have regressed a lot, right? But truthfully be told, I think for a lot of people, it's just, hey, you didn't put your best foot forward, and someone else outshined you. And so now all that shows you, this is a life lesson of like, hey, I need to come better. I need to come correct. I need to do, hey, look, I didn't get that. I didn't make the team because, I have skills and I'm good, but that person who actually made the team, and they're going to be the starting point guard, you could tell they've put in time and dedicated effort behind what they're doing. I was just kind of good and thought I could just BS my way to the, they said, hey, I had a goal, and they prepared for this day. And I think I want for my daughters, that's what I want. I want them to prepare to say, hey, and especially my son when he comes, like, I don't think that you're not going to get something because you're black. And so he's like, oh, I didn't get it because I'm black. No, I'm sorry. That's how victims think.
No, 100% agree. Exactly. Like, I truthfully, there are some individuals who they don't really care. They just want you to, show that you did earn this position. You do work hard and everything like that. You have what it takes, to move up, whether it's in, some sort of corporation, whatever, if it's in the military, things like that. So you got to strive to get it. You're not gonna get hand-me-outs.
Well, this is why, and I'll say this. This is why I didn't like DEI. I didn't like it because it was I was raised, and I believe this. I believe I was raised correctly, but I was raised to understand, like, you get things and you earn things by merit. You get things, earn things by the worth and the value that you show, that whether it's an employer, whether it's making a team, whether it's starting a business and you need a loan or whatever, like, but you get things and you earn these things because based off of your merit, based off of how much it's clear effort and drive that you put behind it, rather than just saying, well, you're Black and I need to hire more Black people. So, hey, you got the job and you didn't get your resume wasn't looked at but it can go both ways, right? So
I don't know. I feel like I would find that even more disrespectful. Hey, we're hiring you because you're Black. Well, I don't want you to look at that. I want you to actually look at it and see that I am your guy that fits this position. And he rightfully or she rightfully deserves to be here.
Well, I agree, because I think one of the things is when I'm building my resume, right? And one of the things is, if I want to getting a job, it's like, I want to know I'm competitive. I want to know if you put my resume next to whomever it is, I don't care who it is, right? But in this example, this hyper extensive example here, I'll say, if you put my resume next to a white male, same credentials, whatever, I don't want to sit there, or similar credentials, I won't say same, but similar credentials, whatever. I want to know, did I beat him because, hey, you know what, when you guys had the same resume, but when you came in for the interview, I could tell there was passion and drive and you wanted to be here.
Killed it.
Right. Versus, I came in very lackadaisical, thinking I had a shoe in because, hey, look at me, you got to hire me now because I'm Black, right? And that white guy who was here, we had the same resume, he killed his interview, but you hired me. So now for him, he's like, what do I need to do better?
Right.
When in reality, it's like, you actually don't need to do anything better. Do the same thing. But now he's second guessing himself, right? And I think that's what it leads to, is people second guessing themselves.
Yep.
And but like, again, I don't want my kids, right? Because I always try to think about things from my kids' perspective. Is that how I want it for my kids? It's like, I would never want it for my kids to think I can get a job because I'm Black, because of what I look like. No. You get a job because you're going to work your butt off. And you prove to that employer during the interview process, or when you wrote your resume, that, hey, I want a job here. I want a job here. I want to show you that I can kill it. I can put my best effort forward. I know what hard work is. I have a work ethic. I know what time management looks like. I am trainable. That is what it boils down. I am trainable and teachable, and I want to be trained, and I want to be taught by you in this establishment, whatever it is. So that's what I think about for my kids, and that's why I think it's a big deal. And again, that's why I personally didn't care for DEI, but a lot of people, man, if you, again, going back to it, but if you look like us and you say that, it's you, man, it must, not all of us can live like you. Not all of us,
you're not part of the real culture.
Yeah.
You haven't been through the trenches.
Yeah. And it's, what's funny is when I first joined and I had an NCO, we were talking about education, and it was like several of us, but her in particular, we were talking about education, how I thought the public education system was failing our kids. And I said it was doing it. And I didn't articulate it this way I am now, but back then I was a little more crass with it. And it wasn't my intention, but I didn't know how to verbalize my point back then. But anyway, I said I didn't think that the public education system was set up for our kids to succeed in the future. And I said, the example I tried to give her was, I said, most kids today that I talk to can't tell you about American history, right? And so now the problem that we have is, if you don't know the history, you tend to repeat it, right? And the perfect example I'll give is the Israelites, right? You would have generations of the Israelites coming out of Egypt.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then like the first generation, the ones that would spend moseying around the desert for 40 years, keep in mind the trek that they would to get to where they were actually going was 11 days. It took 11 days in that time frame, but God had them moseying around in the desert for 40 years. But like when Moses died and Joshua was told to take them into the promised land, right? And to the land full of milk and honey, it was a completely new generation. And they were like, hey, we're on fire for God. And then slowly but surely, within the next generation, they weren't on fire for God. They were worshiping other gods. and then they got punished, and it was like, hey, we're on fire for God again. It was just rinse, wash, rinse, and repeat, right? And I think a lot of it turned into is they weren't following they weren't doing what they were supposed to, which was they were supposed to read. They were supposed to have one reading of the entire book of the Bible at the time, or what the Bible was known as, the Word, right? Back then, they were supposed to read it every 7 years, once to all the Israelites every 7 years. But I think then it turned into it was read at least once a year, whatever the case might be. But my whole point is kids didn't even know history of the United States and what led to the Civil War, right? And what led to World War I, World War II, when these things were these important times in history that America participated in or was the core, or was at the forefront of it, and they didn't know these things. And I'm like, if they don't know these things now, but this is the next generation, it's scary to think what positions they could find themselves in where they don't even know the simplest things that, our kids now are supposed to know. And so it scares me.
No, I can understand that. And I feel like, especially once COVID came, I feel like
COVID
definitely, COVID babies. I definitely think our school system and education and everything definitely went downhill even further. It affected pretty much all levels of education and things. I think there's a lot of subjects that got skipped. They just focused on, certain things and probably not the important ones, but that's definitely one of them. And I'm actually curious to know what is actually getting pushed in the public education system now. I think I'll definitely try to look that up after.
Well, I would say what COVID really did for our education system was expose our education system for what it really is. It exposed the gaps that parents thought that were being filled and that where kids were actually being taught, exposed that they weren't, right. There were several stories out there of parents where kids are at home, they're at home, and they would be listening to what their kids are being taught or whatever, and they'd be like, is this normal? You guys are just now covering this? You guys are you don't, you're a junior in high school and this is I'm being hyperbolic here or exaggerative when I say this, but you're just learning division. You know what I mean? These are things, I'm being exaggerative, but parents were hey, should my kids, they should already know this.
Yeah.
They graduate next year or they graduate in a few months. And why are you just now teaching them this? They should already know this. They should already be prepared for this. And parents were like, what do my kids know? What don't they know? And then to come to find out is their kids didn't. I'm not going to blame it all in the education system. I mean, kids have to take some own accountability, but also parents have to take accountability and they have to care about what their kids are learning.
Yeah.
And they didn't care. And they handed their kids off to the education system and said, I'm going to trust the system that's going to educate my kids. Because a lot of people say I went through it. I came out just fine. All right. They're so I'm trusting the education system to my kids because it's free daycare essentially. And then when they come home, we kind of talk about it. They have an attitude, whatever. It's no big deal. They're just kids being kids. And then I wake up and we do it all over. And you run the rat race.
And wash, rinse.
And I think, like I said, COVID exposed our education system and the gaps in it.
That's scary to think about.
Yeah. Well, and this is one of the reasons why I homeschool. And this is one of the reasons why I care about education. Education to me is so important, and in education is not sitting behind a desk and listening to a teacher talk at you for an hour and then say, now take a test, or here's a practice exam, show me that you retained
everything that I just said right back. I think that was part of the issue that I had for my education. I didn't do bad in school or anything like that. My grandmother was actually a school teacher.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think because of that, though, my father actually did not like school. But yeah, I still enjoyed school. I think the issue that I had, especially when it came to college, there's a specific subject that I want to learn, but we have to go through these other courses before we can actually go to our major subject. I still don't really fully understand it. I just don't understand why do we do that here?
Money
in America. That was one of the things. I definitely think it was because of money. But whereas you go to outside of the United States, And if you want to learn psychology, guess what? You're learning psychology.
Yeah.
If you want to learn international relations, whatever, you're going to learn that. I never understood that, and I think that's that's another thing that kind of like prolonged me getting, my bachelor's degree. But, so, I mean, so now, I have the time to where I can start working on finishing it up. So that's what I'm doing now. But because of that.
You're finishing your bachelor's or?
Bachelor's, yeah. So.
What are you getting it in?
International relations.
Oh, nice.
So I did international relations because I was actually fortunate enough at a young age to, I'm not going to say travel around the world, but I was definitely able to travel to a lot of different places. I've been to Haiti, I've been to St. Martin, Mexico, Central America, things like that. And so I got to be exposed around different cultures and see how different people act. So, and I truly enjoyed that, and I loved it so much. So I wanted to go ahead and learn that. And as soon as I get finished with that, I hope to possibly go work at an embassy or something.
That's what I want to do. I was looking into embassy jobs. I don't know too much about how I'm finding them, but anyway, I was looking into it because I think it would be cool to expose my kids to other cultures and to be other places. Now, certain embassies can be more dangerous than others and concerning, but still, nonetheless, if this opportunity presents itself, I would definitely love to do that.
Yeah,
to experience that. Because I do think it's one, it's a good experience for me, but it's also a good experience for the kids, the family, to be able to realize what it's like to leave the States and be in other countries and be like, I have thought about this only one way my entire life. And I come here and I'm like, they don't see it that way. They don't have this practice. They don't do these things.
Exactly.
If you're in Europe, certain parts of Europe where driving's different, or driving on the Autobahn, right? That's an experience within itself. You know what I mean? And so you have these different experiences where for a few different things for me, but it gave me a new perspective of what it's like to be in another new country. But then also too, it taught me how to value where I was from, right? Because it was easy. It's really, as an American, it's really easy to take being an American for granted. But then when you go to other countries, especially countries that are not, number one, I mean, you can't, I'm sorry, United States is the number one country. Everyone else, you rack and stack, you do that, you do the math for yourselves. I just know that the United States is number one. That being said, when you go to these other countries and these less fortunate countries, or I was in the Middle East for some time, you start to really value the small things and what you have access to. Whereas, you know what Tiger Balm is?
Tiger Balm?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Right. So he's old. That's why he knows.
Okay.
But when I was in Afghanistan, one of the guys, man, didn't have access to getting Tiger Balm, something simple as Tiger Balm. And he would ask us, he would say, hey, because you go into his bazaar, his store, and he'd be like, hey, look, I'll make you a deal. I'll give this to you for X amount of dollars. This, and this, because it's all the things that you want. All I ask is you go buy me some Tiger Balm. And I'd be like, what? All you want is Tiger Balm. And you, in your head, you're like, bro, I can get that. I can go to CVS and get that. You know what I mean? Now Tiger Balm is expensive within its own right, because it's just the small little can, right? But still, nonetheless, Tiger Balm. You know what I mean? You're just like, well, okay. And you would order it, however it would come in, and I would get 2 or 3, because I'm like, I don't care, bro. I need to fulfill my Amazon order to get, whatever. So I'd get it, came in, and I'd bring it to him, and he'd be so grateful. You could tell he valued the fact that I actually ordered Tiger Balm, and not just one, but multiple. And this was going to last him for not forever, but truthfully, it felt like for him, he was going to try to make it last as long as possible.
Yeah, he probably was.
And he had a Tiger Balm that he had been using for, I think he said at this point, it was going on 2 years. But there was I'm talking nothing in here. But this dude was using this thing as chapstick too. I'm like, yo, you are insane. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not what it's for, but you know what? You live in Afghanistan. I don't. So, I mean, if your lips hurt from being chapped because whatever, I don't know. But he would be like, yeah, Tiger Balm, you want to eat? I'm like, that's not chapstick. But all right.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I don't know if she said anything, but I definitely
know, I mean,
I'd be like, all right, you know what? He paid me. I'm good.
Yeah, well, he's one of the. We didn't pay, but it was just exchanging goods. But he was among the bazaar workers. Among them, he was considered like an elder amongst. So he was. Yeah, so like he was like the guy. Like everyone respected him. They may not have liked him, but everyone respected him because he was considered the wealthiest among them because he had 100 sheep. Right? He would brag about how many animals he had. He'd be like, I have 100 cows, 100 sheep, and he had and truthfully that's a lot of animals, right? But because he had that was considered that was how you demonstrated your wealth. And so he was considered the wealthiest among them. And so he was older. And so so a lot of people, you had to earn his respect.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the culture in Afghanistan. But again, the value something so simple as Tiger Bomb, right? And then for us to come back and you're like, if I want Tiger Bomb right now, I'll go to Walmart and I'll go pick a Tiger Bomb. And it's funny, I have Tiger Bomb in my room right now. If I can't find it, I'll go to the store. I'll go buy it.
I was a real old guy here then.
All right. Okay. All right. But yeah, it just goes to show like as Americans, we do live in luxury. Like bums have iPhones. Like let that sink in.
Mm-hmm.
Like the poorest of our poorest, if you will, in America, they have a new iPhone 16.
iPhone, laptop. Oh, you know what? If you go to California and you say you're homeless, all this other stuff, they got a program for you. You can get you an iPhone. You get, I believe it's $700 or $750 a month, and you get a laptop, all free.
That's crazy.
Yes.
I won't get into the conversation, California, but it's funny. I say that because I think I really want my kids to value things, and I want them to value hard work, right? I want them to value the fruits of their labor,
right?
Where if we were in olden times, right, back when you were growing up, joking.
I'm just catching strays here.
But growing back in old times where what the main source of profit or income or what of work was working the land, you would see the fruits of your labor in the new season, right? When the crops would grow or whatever you were growing, right? And you'd be like, that's what hard work looks like. And that would motivate you to keep doing that and going, right? Well, now we're in a culture where everybody wins, right? You get a trophy. I get a trophy. He gets a trophy. Everybody wins. Everybody's a winner and no one's a loser. And so hard work is diminished because people are like, well, if I bust my butt and then Andre gets the same trophy that I got, but the entire time I was the number one and Andre was like 15 and he sat on the bench all season. Why is he getting the same credit that I did and I busted my butt? There's not an incentive for me to work hard if we're all going to get the same thing.
Yep. Right.
And so for my kids, hard work, I want you to see the fruits of your labor. And also, but I want you to lose at times because I need you to understand that loss comes with lesson.
Yes.
With a lesson or multiple lessons, and not lose just because I want to, because I want you to just have all these life lessons, but I want you to lose in the sense of like, hey, you're not always going to win. Right? We have promoted too much of a winning culture of like win. You're going to win every single time. You're not always going to win.
Yeah.
This podcast has taught me a lot, and I have not won every single episode.
Yeah. Teaching, the reality. And I definitely want to teach that to my son because I've had a lot of harsh realities that I was exposed to and things like that. And that's one of the biggest things. Like, you're not going to be able to have everything go your way. You can plan anything and everything how you want it to the T, but, it's not always going to go the way that you want it. And I want to I want him to understand that.
Final question for you. Your son he's almost 2?
No, he's 14 months.
14 months. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're...
So, so you're still considered relatively a new dad, right? Yeah. And so I'm sure there were a lot of lessons that you learned as far as being a new dad. But now that you've learned those and you've got through some of those times where sleeping was rough or whatever the case might be, what advice would you give to a new dad? Because I think a lot of new dads kind of go into this where like, yeah, I've watched my nephew or my nieces before, so I kind of got this, and, and they don't.
You should know.
It's something that you learn though, because I think that's what's important, because like you would be surprised some of the smallest things.
I would just say, just be there. Just be there. Even though my son's only 14 months, things like that, at least what I've been told, what I've seen, and what other heard people talk about, because they felt like they didn't have their dad in their life. They just wanted him to just be there. You don't have to give me everything that I want. I just want your presence. I want your time. Give them time. Show them time. Be there. Help your wife, girlfriend, partner, baby mama, however you want to take it. Help them out too and everything, because they're on this journey with you, since you guys produce life. But definitely just be there. Just be present as much as you can. And that's what I definitely try to do now and things like that. So I love being a dad. It's the greatest thing in the world. And, I just want to just see him grow into, great person, and, going to lead him as best as I can and do everything. Make sure he does, walk the right path, or I'll teach him about the right path and things like that. Because like I said, I know there's going to come a time where he's going to become his own man and things like that. And hopefully all the teachings that I passed down to him, hopefully, he stays, he stays on that right path.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I can give out so far.
Yeah. No, I feel you. No, look, trust me. One of the things, man, is I was a person that I didn't understand what people meant by being present, right? And like I was just like, and it's not to say this is not a stab at my parents or jab at my parents, is like they weren't present, but like because I had a twin brother and I didn't know we were born at the same time, we grew up together, and I had older siblings. There was always someone to hang out with, right? Like you're always hanging out with each other, right? You know what I mean?
Like you see like all these other. You see some parents, before I had my son, you would see like these parents, and you would have their kid run around the restaurant and things like that. And they're not doing anything, and they're just still eating their food while their kid's just being chaotic in the restaurant. And I'm sure the other patrons.
That bothers me, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's just hard because, like my wife would always ask me, were you ever like that? I'm like, no, because I had a twin brother. We were always with each other. We'd always talk to each other. We get the little coloring things that they give you, and, we're just coloring whatever, talking with each other. We never plus I had a black dad. All it took was that look, and you knew to just like, all right, dad's not messing around.
So you'd be like, I was like, any dad, it's a look that dads have that you give, and their kids are just like, One of the things that this might sound bad, but it's not, my intention is not to sound bad. One of the, I think we learn a lot through nonverbal communication, and a lot of things can be taught through nonverbal communication.
Oh, yeah.
Between adults and kids. And so one of the things I'm trying to teach my kids now is, if something's going on and I stand up, you should probably stop.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You should probably if it reaches me to the point where I'm standing, I need to stand up, and me standing up means I'm going to intervene. You should probably be like, okay, I don't want to see what happens next, so I'm gonna, my bad, mom, sorry, like whatever the case might be. And so, that's kind of the nonverbal communication things I'm touching, because I don't want it to only be, I'm not necessarily saying fear dad when he stands up. No, I want it to be, I've crossed the line.
Yeah.
And so I need to, obviously, if dad is standing up needing to intervene, I need to reevaluate what I just said or what I just did. So
I like that. I respect that. I definitely think I'm going to have to put that in my handbook.
Yes. So it helps when because I have Nevaeh, having an older kid.
Yeah.
She understands a lot of the nonverbal cues, where she's like, I'll stand up and it'll be like, I'll walk over to them, and she'll be like, oop, not involved. This is not a me conversation. And that was her. Eden did it.
I think for growing up, for like our cue, our dad would just be like, hey, that A, loud, bass voice. You're just like, okay, we'll stop. So I think that was a good one. But I definitely am gonna put that in my handbook.
Yeah.
But I look forward to meeting your like that, and I don't know what I'm gonna work on number 2, but we'll see what happens.
Do you want?
I mean, I do eventually. I obviously there's some things I want to accomplish first.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying like I still couldn't accomplish it. What
Kids just make it more difficult because, obviously your priorities change.
correct? Yeah, you'd have to put some stuff on hold and things like that, and take care of what you got to take care of. So, but I love the journey that I'm on, and I wanted to. I can't wait to see what the future brings, especially with my son and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
That's awesome, man. I love it. Love it. Well, y'all, hey, thanks for joining us on this episode of Mediocre Dads. As usual, if you're new here, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. Like this video, comment below, and share with your friends. If you're a returning viewer and you've subscribed to the channel already, I appreciate you. I do. I really do. It means a lot to me. All I ask from you is to share it with your friends and comment. Because I think if we share the videos and share the stuff with your friends, especially with your newer dads or dads, a new perspective or something different that they've never thought of or how thought of would be, it's always helpful. And I think as men, sometimes we need, when someone explains it something a certain way, we're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's just like a clicking moment, it happens. So, yeah. But other than that, guys, that's all we got. Like I said, being mediocre is a choice. You have to refuse to be mediocre every single day. That's all I got. Mediocre Dads out.